Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch and Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch and Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch and Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.
Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels.
Three Parallel Podcast. Come take this walk with me.
Welcome back to the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we once were, we embrace who we actually are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. On today's episode, we are back at it. Listen, I want to give you a little review, a little refresher, just in case you forget or you don't know. The foundational principles are so important, and you're going to hear these things over and over again because to me, they don't go away. They don't change. They don't die. They just get better. They just evolve. Sometimes you catch it the first time. Sometimes you need a few times for it to catch you, but please believe it's going to catch you. And if it don't, that means there's a little bit more that we could possibly do in the basement, meaning working on ourselves. So going back, little review, junk drawer. I hope you had an opportunity. It's been a little time. Hope you had an opportunity to get rid of at least one thing or challenge yourself to move something out of that junk drawer that no longer serves you, that doesn't work, that you don't need, and rediscover who you are and what value these things bring to you. Understand my belief, which I'm entitled to, 2 + 2 is 5. My belief is the more that we challenge ourselves to do things new, different, and or uncomfortable, the more we evolve. For some people, they don't really evolve, they just get older. You know, there's people that get older with age, and there's some people who evolve. And there's a difference between the two. One of the biggest differences I've noticed is those who are willing to do the work on themselves. And sometimes life happens where we change because of life. And to me, when you're intentional about growth and change, your life changes in so many different ways because you can begin to fine tune your life. You can begin to curate or have a bespoke type of lifestyle where you choose what works best for you and what doesn't. And oftentimes we don't choose. We allow life, people, places, or things to choose for us. So this show is designed to help you begin choosing for you by being intentional. So wordplay, as we talked last episode, that wordplay changing should into could, because could provides opportunities, should provides a dead end, and being willing to change the rules. And that's what we're talking about a little bit today, changing the rules. And when I think about the rules, I think about rules of engagement. All of us have them. There's the rules that was given to us by our parents, upbringing, background, culture, community, you name it. Rules that was given to us that we choose to live by, that to us equates to facts, meaning this is how life is, and this is how it will always be, and this is how it has to be. And the reality is life is whatever you make it. I just want to talk about facts. Because wherever you are in life right now is based off of something you said, something you did, something you've seen, heard, or understood. It's the life that you've created for yourself. So if you have the ability to create the life that you have for yourself now, unintentionally, imagine from today moving forward, if you are more intentional about life, specifically your life. So There's so much. I'm telling you, there is so much that I want to share with you all, and I really appreciate you rocking with me because you still being here or you just joining and tuning in lets me know that you're ready for shift, for change, for acceptance, for exposure to new and different things. And I have a lot to give you, but I want to be mindful not to give you too much too soon. So I'm spacing things out a bit, but just know by joining us, me, and the guest that's coming on this show, you're going to have an opportunity to grow intentionally. There's intentionality behind this show. And if you're paying attention to the breadcrumbs, eventually you're going to get a loaf. You're going to get some sourdough. You're going to get a honey bun. You're going to get something from it. And if you don't, that means continue to grow, continue to shift, take a break, take a step back, come back to it and listen to it again. And the more you listen to it, the more you're going to see things and notice things and pay attention to things. It's the same concept like movies. Think about your favorite movie, whatever movie you know by heart, whatever that movie is. I'm not going to name them because there's too many to name that we know by heart. But imagine that movie that you know by heart and you watch it every year. Every year, you're going to see something different. You're going to notice things you didn't notice. You're going to pay attention to things you never paid attention to. And the more you do this, the more you evolve because your lens changes. Now, one thing I love about movies, they don't change. Whatever movie you saw, whenever you saw it, that movie does not change, has not changed. However, we change. That's why you're able to see things differently every time you watch a movie, especially the same one over and over again. So know that the rules of engagement is based on us doing the same thing over and over again. This is what we know. This is what we believe. This is what we think. So this is all I can do. And I'm here to share with you that that's not all. And that's just the beginning. Wherever we are is just the beginning of where we could be, what we could do, who we could become. So I can't give you this insight, this knowledge, this information if I don't have it myself. And every day I'm working towards becoming the better version of me. Every single day I'm trying to find a way to be better. And one of the easiest ways, and this is for you all, because it's for me too, one of the easiest ways that I noticed how I'm able to evolve daily is every day I choose to do something new, different, and or uncomfortable. Every single day. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what day it is, I will find a way to do something uncomfortable. And I want to share a couple examples of me doing things uncomfortable to encourage you, to encourage us to continue to push outside of our comfort zone, to be willing to do things we've never done in order to receive the things we've never had. So I'll start light and then I'll get real heavy. Now, this new different and uncomfortable perspective, mindset, life work, I've been doing for over a decade now, and I've evolved and changed because of it. So, example, new, different, uncomfortable. On average, we brush our teeth maybe twice a day. It's post pandemic, maybe once. You know what I mean? It just depends on what we got going, but typically, maybe twice a day. Now, in order to do something new, different, and uncomfortable, imagine adding to your oral hygiene, flossing. I didn't start flossing consistently until later in life because I didn't value my teeth. The reality is, I didn't know how to value my teeth because my upbringing around my teeth, we would go to the dentist or I would go to the dentist whenever it was convenient. It wasn't a system. It wasn't a every 6 months, every 5 months, 4 months. It wasn't that. It was whenever we can afford it, whenever we can get in there, whenever we can make it happen. So I didn't have the value or view about my oral hygiene as I do now that I had in the past because it just wasn't a thing. It just wasn't the norm. But now it's a normal practice or routine. I'm in the dentist office at least 3 or 4 times a year on average. However, a little self disclosure, I did Invisalign recently. And through my Invisalign treatment, I was in the dentist office more so in 18 months than I have my entire life. I felt like I was in the dentist every other week because it was a lot to keep up with. But the oral hygiene, the new, different, uncomfortable, was normal is twice a day. And when I start flossing, that changed things. And then I start adding mouthwash, that changed things. And then I start brushing 3 times a day, that changed things. And then I start making regular appointments every 4 months. That changed things. And before you know it, I invested in Invisalign. That changed things. So all these small steps to get better at taking care of my oral hygiene has enhanced my whole mouthpiece, like real talk. My whole mouth is different. You got to hold your mouth right. My whole mouth, my bite is different because I chose to do things new, different, and uncomfortable. That's just related to my oral hygiene, my mouth, my grill, my teeth, which is a part of my instrument that I use to do what I do. Now, that's on a light scale. You see the evolution. Let me give you a large scale, something that happened to me recently that I want to share that was life changing because I chose to shift. So, story time. Grab you a cup of coffee, sit back, relax. If you're on your commute, you know, don't lean the chair back too far. But lean back, kick back, put it on cruise control. We just finna talk. Well, actually just finna listen. Because I got a story to tell. And the story is about the title of this episode, Golden Time of Day. So earlier in 2024, a pioneer, a legend within the Black community passed away, a musician by the name of Frankie Beverly, who had a band called Maze. And I feel Frankie Beverly is a staple in the Black community. He's like an uncle that you never had, some of us never met. Some of us have. But he was a legend, and his music, it just it makes you feel good. It's a cultural, to me, it's a cultural phenomenon. Frankie Beverly and Maze, and I don't know too many Black folks who did not grow up in that era. No matter what decade, what era you're part of, you've been directly or indirectly impacted by Frankie Beverly and Maze or the music. So last year, 2024, well, yeah, 2024, Frankie Beverly passed away. And it was a moment where the Black community stood still, meaning it felt like a loss that we had, like a personal loss of family. And I was listening to a radio station and they were saying, hey, to celebrate the life, the legacy of Frankie Beverly, we're going to wear all white and blast Frankie Beverly music all day long on this particular day. And I heard that on the radio earlier that day. And as I'm walking around this little lake not too far from me, I hear Frankie Beverly Golden Time of Day music playing loud, like blasting from across the lake. I'm on one side of the street. This house is adjacent to that street, but it's across the street in the middle of traffic. And I can hear this music blaring. And my first thought was, that gotta be somebody Black. I can't, it's hard for me to imagine anybody else playing this music but a Black person. But so my curiosity was piqued to see who this was. Now, at the same time, I'm on FaceTime talking to a great friend of mine who will be on the show, Dr. Julian McGee. And when the loss happened, me and him both kind of connected. Hey, man, you heard about Frankie Beverly? Like, yeah, I heard about Unc. It was just an instant like, man, we lost a hero. Because we grew up listening to music. Even though we're from different parts of the world, we connected on that cultural phenomenon. Anyway, as I'm talking to him about Frankie Beverly, I'm hearing this music blasting. So I decided, and I want to give you versions of who I was, who I am, who I'm becoming. So all these things can happen together. So it's not just you're listening and paying attention to the show, but you're hearing me do these things in order to encourage you to do those things that you can do outside your comfort zone. So my first thought was, I want to go find out if this person is Black or not. I want to find out, are they part of the culture community? Because you got to be somebody to be playing this music, especially at this time. So my old self was like, nah, don't go over there. You don't know them folks. You don't know that man. You don't know that woman. You don't know that person. Go home. And as soon as my old self stepped in, my better self stepped out. And I started walking towards the house. And then my future self stopped me in my tracks. Hey, man, how will you know if you don't go? Because as you know, for many of us, we live in that world of what if, not what if. What is? What if is all the things that can go wrong. What if is all the negative things. What if is what keeps us stuck. But I said, what is? What is? This music is playing. I'm feeling moved by it. I feel connected emotionally, everything else in between. I feel it. So I'm finna go find out who this is. So I'm on FaceTime, but this is a Marco Polo. So it's asynchronous video. I'm talking to Julian, Dr. McGee, and I'm like, yo, this is happening in real time. I want to go, but at the same time, I'm afraid to go, but I'm gonna go anyway. So I'm just talking to me, talking to him. He didn't respond, he didn't reply because he busy doing what he doing. But we had conversations prior to. Anyway, my point is, I decide to go across the street from the lake and go find out my belief. Is it fact? 2 + 2 is 4, or is it fiction? 2 + 2 is 5. Didn't know for sure, but this is how I fact check me. This is how I do the groundwork to figure out, are my beliefs valid or not? So my beliefs about this person was they had to be black. In my mind, had to be black or a part of black culture. They understand the culture. More than likely, there's some roots, there's some ties to the South in some kind of way. I'm probably pretty sure and I kept thinking it was a guy. Because I just can't see a woman blasting that music by herself. Maybe with her uncle or her daddy, but I just can't see a woman just blasting that music by herself. So I assumed it was a guy. So I just want to give you me collecting data, right? And I'm walking up to this house, but it's brick. It's a brick wall all the way around because it's a little neighborhood or community. I'm walking up towards, and I'm walking up to this community thinking about these thoughts of who this person could be. And I continue walking, and my old self jumps in, say, hey, you need to go back. It's not safe. It's this, it's that, telling myself all these beliefs about this experience that I'm having. And I had to constantly, my future self, my better self, constantly told my current self, keep going. Because every step I took, the old me wanted to stop, wanted to go back. But the new me was like, hey, bro, keep walking. How do you know if you don't go? So I decided I'm going to keep going. And as I kept going, getting closer and closer to the house, I kept coming with beliefs, ideas, and assumptions of what it could be. So I'm thinking this person more than likely drank brown liquor. It got a barbecue grill in the back. Something barbecue related is happening. Just feel good energy. More than likely Christian, Southern Baptist even. Got some roots in the South. I just felt all these things. It was just the energy. And I just kept walking. So I go around the brick wall, and I'm finding myself in the community. Now I'm walking towards the house. I'm walking towards the music because I don't know what house it is. The music, I'm just following the music, walking towards this random house of this random person that I don't know, but I believe they're connected to the culture. Now, this is stepping out on faith. This is new, different, and uncomfortable, but I decided to go further with it. So I kept walking. And as I walked up, I get closer. I see a house. I hear the music. I see a house. And there's a huge Trump flag hanging from outside the house. Now, not to get in any politics, no shade, no love, loss, or anything like that. But you have to be a type of person to have a Trump flag hanging out of from your home. And then my old self was like, man, if you don't turn around and go home right now, because I'm a black man in a predominantly white neighborhood. That's where I live. It's predominantly white. It's not as diverse as it could be. Anyway, my point is, I see the flag. I begin to feel some kind of way. So I turn around because of my old self. And then my future self, my better self was like, hey, man, I said, keep going. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to keep going. So I kept walking, walk closer and closer, thinking that, okay, if it's this person who is a Trump supporter, which is fine, that's your business, hanging his flag from his house and listening to Frankie Beverly, oh my goodness, the stories we will have together because I'm finna find out who this person is. So I shifted my thinking and I kept walking. Now I'm even more curious. Who could this person be? So I kept walking. And as I kept walking, I recognized that there was another house right next to the house with the Trump flag. I was in a corner, ducked off, and that was the house. That's where the music was playing from. And it was blasting. And I was loving every second of it. So there was a brief sigh of relief as I walked towards this random person house that I considered to be family already, and I ain't even got there yet. And I walk up, and there is a there's a couple cars outside in the driveway. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I just kept pushing myself to be uncomfortable. So I get to the house, windows are open, the music is blaring, and there's an energy I just felt comfort. So I rang the doorbell. Nobody came. Old me, all right, man, take your butt home. You tried. Better me, give it another chance. So better me wins. Ring the doorbell second time. Second time, I take a pause. Old me again. All right, this is the second time. This is your sign to go home. Better me, hang out for a little bit. So I stayed. By the time I was going to go for the third ring, my old me got the best of me. I was like, that's enough. It's time to go home. My future self was like, all right, you win this time. So the current version of me turned around and was about to start walking back home. And as soon as I turn around, I see a person that walks past the window. So I'm like, oh, they heard me. Somebody heard me. And next thing I know, the door opens and it's a woman who opens the door. I'm assuming the wife of the man that's playing his music. My assumptions are still there. Don't get me wrong. And the woman in the door, she said, hey, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I heard the music and I just had to stop by. And she looked at me intrigued, like, what? I said, and I repeated myself. I said, yeah, I heard Frankie Beverly playing and I just decided to take a risk. I was assuming the people were here were possibly black, understood the culture, valued the culture, and was mourning the loss of a family member, Frankie Beverly. And she looked at me and smiled and she said, yeah, that's my husband in the back. And I'm like, all right, check, checking out the box. That's my husband. He in the back. You should go say hi to him. I said, for real? She said, yeah, he would love, you coming over. And it's so random and I think it's cool. I'm glad you came by. She said, I'm actually at work right now. So I got to get back to work, but you can go on to the back. And again, being a predominantly white neighborhood, being black as all get out, I said, if you don't mind, just let them know that I'm finna come back there. Listen, I am not trying to get shot over no Frankie Beverly. She said, yeah, I'll let him know. So she goes back there and the house is pretty wide open. She goes back there and she's telling him about me. Hey, it's this man, Jason up front. Now, mind you, she's hollering over the music because it's so loud. And I hear her talking to him. And I look to the side and the side yard, the gate was wide open. And she said, yeah, this guy, Jason, he came by, he heard the music. So I hear her talking to him. So I speed up my pace to see him before she leaves because I need to make sure we all have eye contact with each other. So I get to the backyard, and as she telling him, "Yeah, this guy named Jason," they both turn around and see me, and she's like, "Yeah, that's him right there." And he's like, "Come on back." So I'll go back there, and I'm getting so emotional because my beliefs are valid. It's an older black man. There's a barbecue grill back there. And it was just this kinetic energy of, man, family. I'm at the crib. He sees me, I see him, and I'm walking towards him with my hand out, and he walking towards me with his arms out. And we both gave each other the biggest embrace and held each other for a moment. A complete stranger. I didn't know him, he didn't know me. Complete stranger, but we embraced and we held on for a moment. And in that moment, my eyes just welled up with tears, just emotionally connected to a complete stranger because of music. And his wife was sitting there in awe, like, what is this? What is going on? God is good. She's just glowing. God is good. That's the glow she had. And once we finished the embrace, he said, so what's the story, man? What brought you over? Right? Meanwhile, music still blasting. So I'm hollering at this point. Yeah, so I heard Frankie now. I heard Frankie Beverly. And I decided that, I'm on this new, different, and uncomfortable journey. So I decided to take a risk and come check you out, man. And I assumed you were exactly who you are. He said, man, well, that's beautiful. Yeah, I've been playing, reminiscing and thinking about Frankie Beverly, this and that. And it was just a moment we had. And before I know it, all three of us was just in conversation about life, about love, about laughter, about music, about food, about culture, community. We just talked. And his wife was like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be at work. I need to get back to work." But before she left, she shared, "Thanks for coming by. Thanks for taking a risk. Thanks for stepping out your comfort zone because we really needed this moment." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah. We actually lost our son 2 years ago. Um, he got into a tragic car accident in his 20s, maybe 21, 22 years old. And this is that beam of light that we needed to hear and receive, that we're okay, that we're covered, that we're protected, that we're supported, that somebody got our back. And we're still grieving the loss of our son. And we're just thankful to have you here." And it was a moment. And I embraced both of them said, "Can we have a group hug?" And all three of us hugged and held each other for a moment. And it was so powerful. It was so real. It was so unique. It was so organic. And we blessed each other that day. After the hug, she went back to work. And my new uncle, I'm going to call him D for the sake of confidentiality. My new uncle D was like, "Hey, man, you smoke cigars?" And I was like, "Nah, but you can." He was like, "All right, cool." He said, "Do you drink?" I said, "Shit, anything wet." He said, "Come on in." This man invited a stranger, complete stranger. He invited me in his home. And he said, "What's your drink of choice?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty much drink anything. Whiskey, my thing, a little brown." So he brings glasses out, put some ice in it. And I said, "What do you drink?" And he pointed on his little island in the kitchen. And it was a big bottle of Hennessy, probably big as my head. He pointed at the Hennessy. He said, "Yeah, that's what I drink." I said, "Yes, I knew you was black. I knew you was black, black." So I'm excited because all these beliefs that I had about this person was valid. It was true. It was real, but I didn't know until I went. And I'm so glad I did. And at this time, I had to hop back on the MP and let Julian know these ideas and these thoughts that I had about this person was true. And I introduced him to our new uncle, Uncle D. And it was a moment that we shared. And me and Uncle D, because that's my uncle now, we sat in his backyard. He smoked a cigar. We drank some hen. And it was a moment that we had. And he shared in this moment, he was from New York, but got a lot of family in the South in Georgia, grew up in Georgia, uh, retired military. Him and his wife been married for over 20 years. Um, had their son, lost their son, did managing grief and, building a community, it's not a predominantly black neighborhood at all by any means, but he's built a community and wants me to be a part of that community as well. Being a member of the Masons and me being a member of a fraternity was just an instant connection. And it just felt familiar. It felt like love. It felt like cherished, being cherished, being full, filled. And it was a moment. And we exchanged numbers and finished the drink. And I went on my way and he went on his. And I was invited back to other events and activities. And that would have never happened if I didn't decide to step outside my comfort zone by doing something new, different, and uncomfortable. So I share this story, this true story, to encourage you to decide to do something different because you never know what could happen. And I even mentioned to him, I said, "Yeah, I actually thought your house had the Trump flags on it, and I was actually going to turn around." He said, "Yeah, that's just my neighbor. He's actually Filipino. I don't really understand his love for Trump, but that's him." And he shared something. He said, "Man, it's not an issue or problem. I'm a Democrat, he's a Republican, but our political views doesn't change who we are to our core as human beings." And he just united us in that moment. And it was a proud moment for me, just that wisdom of regardless of your beliefs, ideas, ideology, opinion, perspective, we're human beings and we're all doing the best we can what we have. And I was able to adopt a new uncle because I told him straight up, "Yay, I want you to adopt me. No paperwork needed. just say yes. Uncle D was like, absolutely. Because you drink Hennessy and you don't smoke cigars yet. But I appreciate you coming by and taking the risk. You taught me something as well. I need to be willing to do more things outside of my comfort zone. So it was a moment that I'll cherish forever. And the song that was playing was Golden Time of Day. That's the song that he played. And that song is on the playlist. And now you have a connection to that song. I would challenge you, if you never heard the song, go listen to it and just think about that song connecting people. So the playlist I curated is for this purpose, for us to have an experience, because I don't know any other way human beings connect outside of music and food. Music and food connects people. And I'm choosing to use music to connect us. So regardless of when, where, how, why you're listening, we're connected through music, and eventually it'll be through food. But right now it's through music. So the Three Parallels podcast playlist is what I curated for us to connect. And every song that's on that playlist has a story. This is one of the many. Every song that you may hear that you come encounter with, there's a story. There's something that connects you to that song. Who you were, who you are, who you're becoming. So pay attention to the breadcrumbs. They're all around us, typically hidden in plain sight. So this has been the first 3 episodes of the Three Parallels podcast, which your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, and these have been solo episodes. However, I can't do this alone. I can't do it alone. Even on my best day, I can't do it alone because I don't know anything in this life where you can do alone. And I've decided I can't do the show alone and I need guests. So typically you're going to get the solo episodes with me on Wednesdays at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern, and then there'll be guests on Sundays, 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. So you have a chance to hear from me, you have a chance to hear from the guests, and that's what makes this podcast what it is. So indulge, find what works for you regarding this podcast. Dive into the playlist because it constantly changes, it constantly evolves, it constantly enhances because that's who we are. Spread love. Don't keep this stuff to yourself. Don't keep it to yourself. The next episode will be with Dr. Julian McGee, who I mentioned earlier. Friend of mine, we've been connected for over 20 years. He's also a proud member of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and he's a professional working in physical health, working in medicine. I work in mental health side, and I work with the mind, he works with the body. So we're kind of like yin and yang, and it works for us. So now you all will have an opportunity to connect with him as my first guest on the show. So join the community, like, follow, share. If anything that I shared on this podcast today blessed you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. What I share with you about the Golden Time of Day is an experience that I had because I was willing to do something new, different, and uncomfortable. Imagine what you can experience by being willing to do something new, different, and or uncomfortable. That's your life work for this week. Every single day, strive to be different. Much love. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Jason Branch, with the Three Parallels podcast, where we discover who we were, who we are, who we are becoming. Have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, great day, great weekend, great life, great time, the golden time. Much love. Peace.
Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch & Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch & Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch and Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.